really don't like the term plus size. I mean, if you're an extra extra small, are you called a minus size? No, you're not. I mean, why, because you wear a size bigger than an extra large, should you be relegated to a different store, a different shop, a different section of the store, a different brand? Why should you have to shop for clothes that either look like your grandma should be wearing it or it's from the Avril Lavigne punk rock collection? I'm tired of this. I really wish that there was a brand, just one brand, that catered to women of all sizes, the same cuts, the same colors, the same materials. Oh, wait. I work for that company. I want to share that with you guys really, really quick. If you're looking for a company that cares about women, all women, made for women, by women, to fit all women, then you have to know about Savvy. That's Savvi, Savvy. We are a women's luxury athleisure wear brand that caters to women of all shapes and sizes. And not only that, our clothes can be customized, tailored, and altered for women who wear breast prosthetics, limb prosthetics, wear medical devices, and for the trans community. Every woman deserves to be able to wear beautiful clothes and have her dignity and confidence remain intact. So if you haven't shopped with Savvy yet, you're missing out. Reach out to a brand partner today, and we can help you get $25 off your first order. It's time that fashion caught up to the rest of the world. It's time that we talk about inclusivity.
Well, welcome to Dr. Margaret and Reverend Katie Speaks. And tonight we are talking about alternative therapies, and we're going to give you a practical guide on alternative therapies. But first I want to just get into what alternative therapy is. And typically it takes a holistic approach to your physical and your mental health. Now, I gotta fix something up right here really quickly. But this means that somebody like Margaret and I would consider all aspects of your physical and your emotional well-being as a whole. Now, rather than treating a particular symptom separately, for example, some complementary therapies focus on the mind, body, and spirit, or on the flow of energy. And with that said, there are many approaches that have different roots in ancient Eastern philosophies of health or other kinds of traditional healing methods, usually used widely before the development of treatment models currently used by mainstream medicine. Now, in contrast, though, you can see that there has been a lot of academic research into holistic or modern medicine or conventional medicine. And of course, complementary or alternative therapy is, and I'll tell you what the difference is between the two of them. So complementary therapy describes the therapies which may be used alongside treatments offered by your doctor, such as yoga, massage, or meditation, or the alternative therapies, such as which are approaches that are generally meant to replace the treatments offered by your doctors, such as traditional Chinese medicine or anything like St. John's wort. You might be given that as an alternative, or there's other alternative complementary and alternative medicines that might be alternative mind-body interventions, biologically based treatments, manipulative and body-based methods, and energy therapies. And this can go right into massage, you can go into acupuncture, Tai Chi, crystal Reiki, hypnotherapy, all of those other alternative modalities that are out there. It might even go into counseling, but it's also used in alongside or to enhance what is already out there if you are to go to the mainstream, go through mainstream Western medicine. And tonight we're going to be talking all about all of this. And first up, I just want to briefly talk about the book that Margaret has written, which is basically on crystal acupuncture and pterogram therapy. And she has developed a system of how you can learn to harness energy using the natural powers of crystals. And that's the first thing that we're going to get into, but we're also going to be talking all about how these alternative modalities or therapies are used, and why for instance crystal acupuncture or crystal therapy is popular, especially, and why do we look at crystals as these big shiny gems and stones that look beautiful, but what do we actually use them for, and why are they highly attractive? I do know, just by research alone, I know that 36% of the United States, in terms of population, that number might be significantly higher, but there are a lot of people that are now going into alternative therapy and holistic medicine. So with that said, I'll give you an introduction on crystal, the power of crystals, and what are pterograms and what crystal acupuncture is all about. And with that said, I'll hand it over to Margaret, who can fill you in on the details and how she's got started and how she developed what we now know as crystal acupuncture.
Wow, you certainly said a lot there. Can I go back a little bit before I dive into the crystals and say that being born in 1942, there wasn't any alternative medicine consciousness. So you have to realize that when I awakened to the stones, which is what I called them originally, I was only a toddler. I was filling up my sandbox in whatever I was playing in at the ocean or wherever mum took me, or pathways with dad. And I always saw a stone as sparkling in the sun. And of course, at that age, I didn't understand just how many stones have quartz in them.
Yeah.
And as we know today now, quartz is in watches. And so even if you're not thinking about crystals, if you're wearing a watch with a crystal in it, you're already getting some balancing and some healing just by having it in there. But the main thing that I wanted to talk about before we get into any kind of therapy is how we encode ourselves emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and practically in the everyday thing. And we've already done shows on this, so I advise people to go back and listen to some of the other shows. But when you think about you're a toddler and you're putting everything in your mouth, okay, and you're trying to walk all around the floor or crawl or do whatever, and you're touching everything, your sensory perception during that time within the brain is making a complex system. Now, when I was a child, I was always hearing that people were, because of the war, you know, we didn't call it post-traumatic stress disorder, but we were calling it courage and endurance. You know, didn't really mean a lot to a little girl, but I could feel these energies coming off people. And I want to tell you that when you stand next to someone who's ill, mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually, could be any level, it could be all or partly one, partly another. So there's no set rule here for treating someone. So we must say very clearly that everyone is very individual. And as a result of struggling with medicine over the years and the medications have been put out, and now we see it, this is smiley face. I could take this and I feel wonderful. And then, but, and all these sidebars come up about how it has bad effects on you. Well, we had to wait a long time before we got permission for someone to start telling us that there was something wrong. And I, like anybody else, when Mum thought I had a snotty nose, she'd rush me off to the doctor, and I'd be on an antibiotic, usually penicillin in those days. And it seemed I needed 3 courses because for some reason penicillin doesn't work with me. Or if it does, it takes a long time to work. So what happens is the penicillin gets into the whole body system and kills off all your natural flora and fauna. And so people, even today, who are put on different various augmented, I want to say that, added and messed around with medicines, they're wondering, they know what the side effects are, but they don't understand that the side effects come on not just because you're on the medicine, but because of the way you think, the way you feel, the way you stand, the way you walk. And, people don't realize when you're crouched up like this, I'm in pain, you are scrunching up all your organs, right? And then you wonder why you've got gas. And of course, if you've taken antibiotics or anything like that, it's going to kill off your natural flora and fauna. And nobody was telling anything back in the 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s that you should be taking probiotics, because nobody understood what the natural flora and fauna in the body was actually doing. And they didn't really truly understand all the enzymes that are in all the different organs going through the digestive system. And so when we put these medications in, we end up with a very bad physical body. And along with that comes, my pain. So we now have mental things with the pain. And then we start getting emotionally depressed, so because we don't feel good. So up comes all the emotions of every time we've ever been punished and sick before or whatever. Your brain doesn't separate and isolate one particular event. It's only your conscious mind that does that. And so you could rationalize, well, when I broke my arm, I had this antibiotic and I've never been right sane since. But what you don't realize is you've got the trauma of breaking the arm. You've got the trauma of someone yelling and screaming at you. You should be careful before you break, and so on. So all of this goes into our body as a signpost. Hey, you're not appreciating yourself. You're not appreciating your life. You're not. And, it's so easy to forget self and run around with 900 things.
Well, yeah. And the other thing is too, is that most of us don't recognize when we need to actually take care of ourselves. Usually it gets to the point where it's gotten too far to even know when to seek help. And so we tend to go down in what tends to fall into the categories of mental health and mental illness. And then we try to seek mainstream medicine for that help. And that mainstream medicine may be to go to a psychologist, and a psychologist may give you prescription medications. Whereas a lot of people don't know the benefits of holistic medicine and what it actually does and what it does to recalibrate the body back to becoming whole and harnessing the energy that we have within our body to correct things and realign and balance.
Well, you have to also remember, we were talking about this the other day, that the whole body is a very noisy place. It's vibrating sound all the time, and that sound goes out into our aura. And when we're standing next to someone, which is where it's going to go with what I was saying earlier, you could suddenly be really, really hot because their aura is touching your aura, and you don't like the feeling of this heat. So in that split second, your body is going through messages to the brain. what's up with me? I've got a fever or something. And then the next thing you know, your brain is looking and searching for that idea. And suddenly you're in a mood. You're angry with this person who's just standing there, and you might not even know them. You might be in the store. And of course, you hold your tongue then. But if you're with someone you care about, yeah, you're going to let them have it, as it were, verbally. And they're like, well, what did I do? I was just standing here. But what you're picking up is their negativity is in their aura. It's in friction with your aura, and you absorb that friction. And next thing you know, it's pushing your buttons for you to be angry. So any alternative therapy is going to embrace the emotions, and those are fear, pain, anger, guilt, and loss. They're the headings that I created. And, you know, when I wrote the one you held out, Breakthrough Therapies, Crystal Acupuncture and Pterogram Therapy, thank you, that is all the theory that one needs to read to understand how your aura is made up of 5 bodies, right? One for your physical, that's an emanation that is actually coming out about 3 foot beyond you. And then right tight into it and around it is the etheric body, which allows us to share our conscious and knowing emotions, mentality of how we see ourselves in this world every day. And, you know, I was with someone just recently who was telling me all sorts of things, and why this, why that, why this, why that. And they're all about things outside of her life and other things that have been going on. And I had to say, it has nothing to do with the falls and the hops and the skips and the jumps of this and that you've done. It has to do with your need to control. And we all at some time want to be in the power mode. We all want to take over in a given situation. I know more than you, you know, let me help you out. We might be offering, but if that person rejects us, oh, you know, I feel left out. I feel declined. So all these negative connotations are in the etheric body. And the etheric body is like a hot water bottle. When you're born, it's flat. But as you learn and toddle and struggle with learning to be who you are in the world for the first 2 years, you are loading that body with all the different emotions and things a child would have. And what you don't realize is that that is the part of you that expects help all the time. You know, you're an infant, you expect to be picked up, you expect to be cuddled and told you're gorgeous. And of course, out of the blue, mummy's angry, and suddenly you've got ugly face. And so you've got those sides as well, where you're afraid of mummy all of a sudden, and everybody else who does the same kind of thing. And all these facial features I was talking about on my show that I just did are very much the connotation of the entire body. So if you get a pain, you don't walk around smiley face, you walk around like, oh, I'm such pain, right? So we don't think about what we're projecting out to the world, but what's actually making those faces is the connotations of the subconscious into the deep subconscious, which is your spirit self, pushing a memory forward into your consciousness to remember something. Now, when we remember it, we analyze it relative to the pain that we're talking about right now, so we're using pain. And compare it with other pains that we've had in the past. And so we go trundling off to a medical doctor and say, you know, I've got this pain here and I can't explain it and I don't know what's going on with it. And the first thing they say is, what number is it? Well, the minute you ask you what number is it, you're like, well, how do I measure this pain? Okay, I'm going to go back to when I broke my knee when I was 6. And I remember that was very painful and I was crying a lot. So I'll mark that as a 9. And I'll say, okay, then I remember somebody else did something to me around the face, got slapped around the face or something. Okay, well, that stung me to death and I was very emotionally upset. So, okay, that'll be an 8. And you don't know, you've just done that.
Yeah.
It's all subliminal. And so you come out with a number to describe your pain, and the doctor says, oh, well, that's not too bad. But in actual fact, the pain may be just as bad in the way you felt it back then as a child as you are right now. But it's your brain that is trying to be convivial to your doctor, because you want to make him happy and you want him to know just exactly what's going on. So you're ready to tell him all the details. And all he's specializing in, shall we say, you've gone for an achy arm, and that's all he sees is the arm. And so he treats the arm, right? But if you go to a chiropractor who's been trained about the skeletal system and how each bone must be in place, right? Then you're going to tell him about your hurting arm, and he's going to say, oh, okay, that's because your clavicle over here on the other side is out. And you're going like, what? Because nobody's taught you that this body has a position that is a wholesome position for it. So when I started to grow up, and I can't teach everything. That's why we want to teach online right now on samariseducationcenter.com. So when I was growing up, there was no one to run to ask a question, because if I said to them, for example, and I did actually do this, I remember doing it to my father, I said, why is this crystal better than this one? And I was holding two agate stones, round pebble ones, and they looked the same, but to me, one was stronger than the other. My dad looked at them. Now, fortunately for me, I had a grandfather who was a water diviner and many other things. And so my dad had some of that knowledge, and he knew about stones. So he was a doorway in a moment to me in that minute, to say, well, there's quartz in stones. He put that idea in me. I don't know, it was under 10 for sure. And that was a big eye-opener. And then later, I was a late teenager. I was helping out at a whole life expo. No, a house, they used to build big houses and put all this stuff in, an ideal home expedition, that's what they call. Yeah, so I went there and I was offering to give out magazines, and next to me was a guy holding up a piece of quartz. In case nobody knows, the quartz looks like this, okay? Only the one he was holding up was cloudy, and it was not perfectly clean like this. And he was going like this. And as he was going like this, I was seeing rainbow colors coming out of it on either side. So I pestered him all week to own that crystal. And I do have it today, and it's a pendulum now. I had it made into a pendulum. But the thing is, you see, we don't know these things. Nobody's going to come up to us and say, oh, you picked up that stone because it's got quartz in it. Or, if you use it in a certain way, it's going to do this or do that in those days. So I was experimenting. And so, I would lay stones on people in patterns, which actually came by many others later. And then I would do things with my hand, because I had healing energy, which is, you can see here, the red I've talked about before. And when I open up, they get really red. And I'm a bit closed down now, a little bit opening. When I do this, I start opening. Look, can you see? Okay, so I was doing this on my stones. And here I'm going to show you a teragram. And this is a green one, you can see. And I don't know if you can see it. This is not a good one to see the circles. Let's find, here's a better one. Here's a purple one. You see those circles in there? Well, the circles are, a sealed unit. Okay, so energy is going around here, and energy is going around the outer circle. And in the middle is quartz. So what happens is, when you put these kind of stones, which are geode slices, on your body, it's going to spin the energy in your skin and on down into your body. And I'm just making a short version here. And I discovered that when I was about 10, even before that maybe, but I didn't understand why, because although spirit guides were talking to me, they were talking in baby language, if you know what I mean, compared with now. So I would pick up these chipped rocks and I would put them on my friends. You can read about this in that book we held up. I would watch them fall asleep. You know, I'd watch them fall asleep, and then I'd watch their auras go from yucky reds and blues and greens to sparkles of color like rainbows. And for some reason, whenever we played mummies and daddies, I was always the doctor or the mummy, or something like that. And that gave me a marvelous opportunity as a child, because in those days, my third eye was wide open, to watch auras, as I did with the soldiers as well. And so I would hear spirits saying, red is anger. Mm-hmm. Yellow is jealousy. And then soon after that, I went to school and somebody told me all these colors in the class. Like green, is nervousness and insecurity and so on. So I wrote about those colors and things in the book. And if you think about some of our colors that we love to have, our favorite colors, they could be a mixture, like a lavender or a purple is red and white, with a bit of blue. And if you're an artist, you know that you love your colors and you just love mixing them all up. But what you don't realize is that when you mix your colors, like drawing, and you recently started drawing, I know, when you use the colors, you're picking the colors that you need in your aura. So, you could say to a young child, I really want to know your favorite color. And they look at you and say, I love yellow. 3 years later, you ask them, what's your favorite color? Oh, it might be blue. 4 years later, it's green, because they've mixed blue and yellow together. And we don't even know we're doing that.
Exactly.
So we have these moods as well in our aura, where we can have blobs of red, blobs of blue, blobs of green, blobs of lavender, and so on, because we're mixing the energy of the physical body with the etheric body. The physical body is responding to every emotion, every thought you don't know you have.
So does that mean that, just to sidetrack a little bit, so does that mean that when we are children and we get asked what our favorite color is, does that have any relevance to the fact that we're drawn to a certain color and that's the color we like? Say, for instance, there might be somebody that might be attracted to purple or blue or red or black.
Well, let me interject there, because I did just say about the colors will mix and the child grows up and changes colors. But when people put a suggestion that it's the other way around, the child doesn't know a favorite color, then mummy or someone could come along and say, you've been picking up this color a lot. Do you know what color it is? It's red. It's your favorite because you've used it for 2 days running. Well, red might have worn off by then. It might be blue, and the child will say, I don't like that one, and throw it away and pick up a different color. And mum thinks, okay, never mind, walks away. But what she doesn't realize is the child instinctively at that young age knows what colors they need. It's like when you were drawing, with the pencil, you eventually thought, I got to use charcoal. We move on. And when you did that, you changed your aura, you changed your color. Now, you were using black because black's pencil, right? But that doesn't mean that you were doing black in your aura.
No.
Now, I do have a black teragram here. I did get one out.
Obviously,
there's a black teragram. That's the blue one.
That doesn't resonate with me whatsoever, but there are other colors that resonate with me, which are my favorite colors, which are white, blue, and purple.
Well, first of all psychics like purple, because it's the mixture of white, which is the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, that we think of. It's a mixture of divine wisdom, which is blue, and it's the mixture of pink, which is divine love. So you're going to the lavender rather, but if you want purple, like in the church for Lent, then you're in the mourning, you're in the loss, you're in the lower self of suffering.
Which would explain why my aura, when I was at the 5D conference with you, which would explain my my aura being distinctly indigo, blue and purple and white.
Yeah, because you were walking around really in tuning to everyone there.
Hey,
psychic you was working.
If I have my aura retested again, it'd probably be the same thing.
Well, it depends. You see, another thing is what's going on around you at the time. You could be feeling very psychic and very this and that, but the cameraman could be very logical and very controlling, which doesn't mean you're going to be comfortable while they're taking a picture of you. And you know, as I was telling you, Steve, my husband who's passed now, used to do spectrum photography, which is what we called it. When I met him, he was doing auras, and he didn't know he was a medium for it. And it was Polaroid, so you hold it in your hand and heat it. And while he was doing that, he would be channeling energy from spirit guides, and you would see someone's aura all around them, and you would see faces and objects. Like one picture had a woman's toilet in it, and he didn't know what to say about that. And he asked me, and I said, that's where she meditates. She threw her arms up and laughed and said, how did you know? I said, I'm a medium. But you know,
ladies and gentlemen, mediums don't know everything, so don't call it. Which reminds me, before you continue there, if you do want to call in and participate in this show and ask us questions, that call-in number is 929-436-2866. That's 929-436-2866 for the meeting ID number 522-657-2748. And I will put it into the description. It is already in the description. If you're watching Facebook Live, it's already up there. Just go, and I'll put it also in the comments so that you can see it from there as well if you can't find the description. So continue on.
Well, I was going to say on that note, we love questions, and we know we're new, so not everybody's aware of us together, working together as a team. But we hope that people will call in, because, you know, those questions are valid to all other people that are listening. So if you've got an important question that's really, you know, you want an answer to, do call in. And maybe while I'm teaching or Katie's telling something, we can help someone else who hasn't called in. So you can be a help to someone else by calling in. Now, going back to the aura, outside of the aura, the two parts we talked about, the next part is the spirit. And the spirit self is the you that is encoded with your soul structure coding, which is a program that ensures that you live and do the things you came to do, while also drawing upon the DNA of your ancestors and the RNA of what you've learned as you've grown up. So your spirit has to sort all that out. It has to dive into the etheric, it has to dive into the physical, see what's up, give you a sudden mental feeling, I need to fix me, and then an emotional passion to want to find out how. And then from there, the physical body reacts with, oh, I really got this neck ache today. I really should go and see the chiropractor, you see. So we're constantly working between those three bodies all the time. And we know that spirit's there. We talk about it. We go to church and we say through our divine love in prayer, I'm really asking God to bless me and take care of me. However, a lot of people go in and say, please God, make me have at least $300,000 so I can get through this year. Well, I'm afraid spirit doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
They give you in bits and pieces when you least expect.
If it's not that, they're contacting a medium or a psychic to find out what the lottery numbers are.
You'd be surprised how rich some of those mediums get. You know, I'm not downgrading them, but you know, I can't even I got the numbers once. By the time I got to the desk to sales 6, I'd only remembered 4, but I did get $150 that day. And yeah, I was surprised and I was furious with myself. I couldn't remember the other 2 numbers. But I just arrived in the States, so I didn't have 2 dimes to rub together and kids to feed and all that kind of thing.
It's just the luck of the draw that the universe heard you when you were in need, and you just happened to be. It may not.
That was very rare. And you got to remember, I can talk very directly to spirit because I've done it since birth. Most people don't develop their psychic skills. I'm talking my generation and older, a bit later people, like people be your mum's age. There was nobody teaching this. So the only way we could learn metaphysics in every sense of the word was downloading, listening to spirit, talking. And I was fortunate to have masters, like Siddhartha Buddha when I was very young, Jesus. Siddhartha came first as Sid and Arthur, and then melded his name together when I was a bit older so that I would know who he really was. And then I went to the library to read about him, and there was hardly anything on him. That's how bad, philosophy and theology was. You have to remember there was nothing. So by the time your mum turned up, she was at least the door was open to a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But you turn up and the door's wide open. Why? Because we're in the Aquarian age now. The Piscean age was all about greed. I want to conquer this. I want to own this. I want to have this. I'll tell you a very typical, when the iPhone 5, I think it was, came out and I was in Japan, I saw these people lined up down this long, long block. And then when we got to the corner, this line went round the corner. And I said to my interpreter, I said, what are those people lining up for? The day before the iPhone actually was on sale, they've been out there all night to get that iPhone 5. That's greed. And that's Piscean age. The same as we all wanted televisions as soon as we knew what they were, and I had to wait 3 or 4 years or my parents could afford it.
And it's funny that you actually do say that, because now that we've moved into the Aquarian age, you find the difference now. And of course, I know this is probably not, it's a stab in the dark, but an intuitive guess at this point, that the events that's happened over the last 12 months has literally put us back into our closet, so to speak, to learn about how we can save money, because we've been crying out where can't pay our bills with no work, because we've all been almost forced to stay at home, to not spread contagions and viruses and so on and so forth. So, in a way, the transition would apply from going from the Piscean age to going from greed, war, to complete famine, and trying to, well, it's not famine in a way, but I'm using famine in such a way that,
well, there are countries with no food.
well, that's true, but what I'm saying is that we've had shortages, we've had money shortages, that we couldn't pay our bills, we couldn't live in our homes, some people became homeless because of the pandemic. And so we've now been put back into our box, so to speak, to learn how to recalibrate and to rebalance and re-look at life in such a way so that we're not so greedy and we're not so war orientated.
Well, the Aquarian age, if I put it simply, really ties into the next body in the aura, which is the higher mind body. And the higher mind body is the wisdom of the divine sense of all that is. Now, we can't all go in and go, we know everything, but we can download bits and pieces. So as we're slowed down, i.e. with the virus, then what happens is we have time. Oh, I think I'll meditate. Oh, I've just watched that movie. There's a message in that for me. Whereas before you would have watched it and missed the message. So the higher mind is waking us up to alternatives. It doesn't just happen stop start. There's an overlapping. So we got the Great Piscean Age and the Great Aquarian Age. So we got this oval shape. So we have times when we go into the positive because we're going into the Aquarian Age, and then we have times when we drop down into the Piscean Age. So we've had about 250 to 300 years of the overlap. Mm-hmm. And we've just, this year actually, 21st to this year, finally moved into the full aspects of the Aquarian Age. And we've got Gemini, right now, that I've got Gemini retrograde in my birth when I was born. So that's right over my natal. We got Venus in Taurus, which is also over my natal. So you can see how I'm like being born again. It's really weird, but true. I'm adapting to my old ideas. And what happened for me in the overlap I was just talking about was I lost purses, and the first one was totally stolen, but the second three that I lost, leaving them in my behind wherever I was because I'm talking with someone else and not thinking. And I've gone back, and lo and behold, it's there. Money, my ID, everything was there in every case. I had some money in a fanny bag, and there was a lot. And it's in my book, My Journey into Oneness, My Life Story. And I won't go into the whole story, but in a nutshell, we found it, and I was able to get back on the plane with everything. Nothing was missing. And that was the day, truly, having had many of these experiences where I'd learned to trust the oneness, where my eyes were flowing tears of joy for an hour. I couldn't stop it, that I finally knew that the oneness knows what I want when I need it. And that was the last part of my higher self's soul vibration body. Mm-hmm. That I was able to connect through my higher mind body to my soul body to feel the presence of the oneness, the holy host, all around me. And you know what? Everybody on that plane got healed that day as well. Not because I'm asking them to be healed, but because Spirit Oneness knew what they needed. And nobody was angry that I'd held up the plane. Everybody clapped when they found out I found it. It was just a unified flight, and there was no bumping. We arrived early. The weather was good. Okay, that's the oneness operating. Now, stop and think about what?
I was just going to say, and it's also about positive acclamation too, because
No, I wasn't saying anything like that. I just knew in the time that the oneness had my back. But what I wanted to say is, you've got to realize there's a pilot, there's the flight attendants, there's all the people on the plane. All of those people contributed to patience, trust, endurance, whatever it was. There were lessons for everyone on that plane. And because we all came together in unification, in joy over me, and they got healed. And that's a very important thing I want people to understand, that if you learn to let go of your judgment, your aggression, your expectations, your hopes and dreams, if you let go of them as a must-have, and rather move into, can I have something like this? They'll give you what you need, not what you want, but what you need, right? Mm-hmm. So, you've had lots of needs lately, just sorted. And I've had some too, with Steve passing and so on. And we have to take time out to appreciate, coming back to us, that we are a part of the oneness. Even though we're in our body, we are a part of the oneness. And that aura that I've just described, having 5 aspects within the aura, needs to constantly be flexible like this. Well, if we're lying to ourselves, if we're cheating on other people, if we're manipulating other people, this becomes stuck. Blocks, we call them. And it could be anywhere in the aura, could be even in the soul part, because you're not receiving the information from your spirit guides. It could be in your higher mind part where you think you're the greatest thing since cream cheese and you've come to save the world, like certain people in this world, all over the world, not any one person, who is standing up and saying, I have the answer. Okay. And of course, a lot of people are going, yeah, I agree on that. And there's a lot of people going, no, I don't agree on that. So conflict. And we have it all around us. And we take it into this aura. And the more we feed into it in negative consciousness, we block our bodies. And we call those, when the water's going down a rocky rivulet or something, and it hits a rock and the water spins round and round and round and round and round. Well, that's what you have in your aura as a block. Your energy is stuck in a place and it can't move on to where it needs to go. And that's when you will start to form emotional insecurities, mental instabilities, and your body starts to freeze up on you. And then, if you're lucky, you'll go to bed, lie down, and have dreams. And the dreams could be negative, very negative, could even scare yourself. But when you wake up, what you've been doing, you've been processing the conscious, subconscious, and deep subconscious, and rebalancing your 5 bodies in the aura. So we have a lot of self-help by ourselves, to ourselves, with a built-in safety valve in our brain that says, fix you. But if we are surrounded by 101 negativities and we bite into that, and we accept that, we're going to go into illnesses like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's. These are mental problems. We're going to go into cancer and different parts of the body in terms of the digestive system starts to pack up. And then if we're not taking any notice by then and trying to find help, then the bones start breaking down. We fall and we get dizzy and maybe we don't stay anymore. So why would we want to put ourselves through all that pain, loss, anger, fear? Because we were taught to do it. Mm-hmm. And if we're taught to be negative, we believed we're supposed to act this way because everyone else around us is acting this way. So we copycat. And when we copycat, it's very difficult to break a belief that that person who told me was right, because we have this bond with them. It's like a ribbon that joins us, from, I'm going to say from my throat to your throat. Just, we could make it anywhere. Yeah. And the thing about those ribbons is if you don't cut them every so often, you may be still connected to someone you're in kindergarten with. Yeah. And they don't remember consciously, you don't remember. Obviously, we don't remember all the people we've known. Mm-hmm. But every so often, you go into this miserable space and you think, I'm not miserable and nobody's bothering me and I'm all alone. Why am I feeling miserable? And what you don't realize is along that ribbon with that person you made that link with all that time ago is you're receiving them and you're receiving their problems. Yeah. You might even get a name out of the blue. There's someone you wouldn't even remember their name. You think, who is that? I don't know anyone named Dawn. Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
Can we equate that though to deja vu?
Yeah, you could. But on the other side of the coin, I'm going to give you another sad one I mentioned to you earlier. One of my patients called me and told me that she had a real feeling something bad had happened to one of her children. And sure enough, she died in an accident. She was on a motorbike. at the moment it happened. Now, that is a mother who's got a tie-in, a ribbon or a cord, whatever you want to call it, through the etheric body, physical etheric body, into her spirit body. So she knew when that life ended. Okay. And so a mother has a very natural inbuilt alarm system because of empathy with her baby and so on. But it can be just, men can have it, but I want to go back to the Piscean age for a minute and say that men were taught to be soldiers. Okay, women stayed home and knitted socks. You know, we go right back in the Piscean age and things like the revolution, you know, and these kinds of things. So for many, many years, women could knit and sew and do all that. You ask any kid today, have you learned to knit or crochet yet? And they'll look at you like, what? What's that? Because they're so used to going and buying a sweater off the peg.
Yeah.
Right. But coming home, as you mentioned, coming back to your point, that allows us, by being still and not being able to go and spend money because you haven't got any, and not being able to go to the store because they're all closed, has helped the younger generation to begin to realize they could refashion their clothes. Now, I refashioned my clothes when I was, after the war, sewing and knitting and all these things. By the time I was 10, I would even go to church jumble sales, as we called them over there. Didn't have garage sales in those, and look for a big piece of material and then come home and make myself a skirt out of it. You know, it would be a big fat person's, you know, something this wide, my arms are out here somewhere. And I was tiddly, so, and I could make myself something. And so even today, I will still do that. I might find a blouse or something at the gift store or no, thrift store, and I'll look at it, and if I like it and I want to change it a bit, I will.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry for these kids that they're not having any lessons in crafts. They took all this away from schools. They took away the sport for socializing. They took away prayer. They took away study work on philosophy. I think those are the most important things. If anything, they should have taken away history because we don't want to repeat history.
Well, that's the point. But what I will say is that they are starting to incorporate subjects like psychology into school. They're starting to incorporate, if not already, subjects like mindfulness. I know that there are some schools out there that now do have an entire subject or lesson or class or whatnot.
What age? What age?
I'm not sure. I'm I can look it up.
I know that they're for adults, but I haven't heard anything for children. You know, teenagers, yeah, will go online and learn some of these things. But I didn't know you've got younger children, so have they been learning anything in school like that?
They've been learning all sorts of things, but I don't know. See, my children are a little different because I can influence them.
Yeah.
Teach them the right way and the wrong way of doing things so that they have some sort of idea of how to make the choices that they want in their life at free will. That's all I can do to influence. But again, I wonder whether some of that mindfulness can actually comes from the home rather than in the school, and then they incorporate it into just general practices in school. But I doubt that they'd be taking the holistic alternative approach into the school systems. While we talk, I'm actually going to see where in the United States that they do have mindfulness classes in whether it's elementary or middle school or high school. I'm pretty sure that somewhere they do. I have heard of it.
I bet you it's a private school.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. But, you know, that's why we're doing this. We have to tell people we're big dream. We want to have a university online where for all ages. So we'll have some for young people, some for middle age, and, you know, and so on. So we'll have to see how that goes, supply and demand, when people ask us. So that's why we ask people, please go to the websites and put in your name, your phone number, and your email, and of course what you're interested in, because it's all down, like any other product, supply and demand. And right now, because we're in the Aquarian age, there's been a build-up. I have to go back in time. We mentioned the crystals. When I was in the 80s and doing Mind, Body and Spirits in England, our event was 10 days. How long was yours in Australia? Oh, you didn't get it until later, did you?
No.
Yeah, because we had it going for years. And the guy who put it on was the horrible tykers, they called them back in those days, naughty boy, who would go and kick our ankles with his hobnail boots. And we were 5 or 6. I didn't like him then, but he turned out to be the one that grew up and became metaphysically oriented and put on the Mind, Body and Spirit festivals for 10 or 15 years, and then took it over to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't say a naughty child is going to turn out to be a bad adult. We all have to go through different negatives in order to grow and evolve. Mm-hmm. And so coming back to the statement of sports, there's rough and tumble in sports, but there's also camaraderie. We're a team, and we need to get along. And you actually see teams don't always get along because they have different points of view on techniques or whatever. And I'll take that team out of sports and put it into later business. You're sitting around a business table and you're all trying to decide what's the best scenario to take for your business. And it's not long before I don't agree, and it's the same in our political fields across the world. Everybody's rising up and saying they don't agree and they want something different. Well, this is a time of change, and we got to get out of the Piscean mode of complaining, moaning, groaning, morning, noon, and night, right, about how bad it is. Mm-hmm. We have to move into, wow, we freed up. We can now transform the way the world sees us and be a model. Red Cloud said through me back it was before I even came over here. So it had to be late 70s, and then later in the 85. But he said to me, America should be proud to be the first to the moon, and likewise should be proud to be the first country to be self-sufficient. Mm-hmm. So why are we trading all around the world? And then why are we rushing into the stores and buying out everything that's on the shelves because we might not get any more? Greed. That's the Piscean age again. Whereas in the Aquarian age, you hear people online saying, I'll teach you for nothing. No more of this, spend $4,000 and I'll promise to make you healthy. Thank goodness. And so time will change that, I'm sure. But coming back to wherever it's going on, the camaraderie of union is happening whether we like it or not. For example, I can't even think of a country right now because there's so many going on in the world where they're either still at war or they're flooded out and they've got no food, no house, or whatever it is, and yet they're rising up in a body of people to say to their elders or whoever leads their countries, we got to stop this. We have to change the way we function as a country, and we're doing it right here. And it's not about whether we're 100% accurate or right in the way we make changes. It's about allowing the changes to happen. And we've still got a debris of ardent old timers from the Piscean age. I'm one of those, but I'm not fixed. But they're fixed. They're fixed on how things have to be in their lifestyle and so on. So coming back to our personalities, our characters, we've been, as we've talked in other shows, about stimulated, encoded, forced to even believe this is the rule, you do it or you're punished. It goes on and on. There's a list galore, right? And how do you get rid of all that in your brain box? So here's the answer, and I'm just going to pick up another quartz. This is a singing quartz, and if I was hanging it up and banging it next to another one, I don't think it'll work because I'm holding it. Yeah, no, you can't. You got to have it hanging and then hit it. It chings, okay? And so this carries energy differently from this one.
Yeah.
They're quartz found in separate places, different countries. This was Canadian, this was Indian. Now, you might think, well, it's quartz, but no, because when the gases cooled so many billions of years ago, little bits and pieces that you can see in here, I don't know if you can see it really, I'll bring up, see, it's got little bits of sand or something in it. I don't know if you can see it there. You might see it, okay, a little bit. Whereas this has been ground down, refined, and put back together.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not how it came out of the earth, okay? And people don't know that, and they go for something that looks clear because they think, oh, it's pure, but this is better because it's natural. And the thing about anyone, like this is one I use quite a lot. It's got quartz in it. You can see it's, well, I can't see what I'm holding it. Okay, this end is lighter than this end, which is darker. Now, if I'm working with someone who's very negative, I'll use that end first before I use this end, because this end moves negativity and this end brings in the light, right? And this is a mixture of different elements. I'm not going to teach everybody about crystals right now, but anyone that's watching, because we want to talk about different things, I'm going to use this, a different one, okay? This one is Labradorite. It's very pretty and beautiful. And it's you can see so many different chemicals in there, okay?
That one?
Labradorite. Labradorite. I'm trying to find my camera. There we go. See it?
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah. See all the different patterns and the way it's called. And then, of course, someone cut this to give it shape. Now, this one will move the energy in all 5 bodies. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to try and show everybody. I'm going to come up to the camera. First of all, I need to show the thumb. The top of the thumb, you could have fat fingers. I don't. I'm very narrow here. So if I was to draw a circle around here, I'm looking for the middle of the circle, which is about depends on your finger, 2 to 3 millimeters away from your nail. Yeah, you see my nail there? Okay. Now, if I've got it in the wrong place, if I go around like this, there's different feelings. And when I found the right one, okay, it's a different sensation from the others. These are more nummy, but this one, I can really feel it. The technique for holding is this hand puts the heating energy into this crystal. It bounces around like this, trying to find its way because it's light. Your heating energy is light. And light is also sound, reverberation. So there's a lot of reverberation going on here like this. And by the time it shoots out at this point here, what we would see, if you could really see it, is a laser beam of light. So when you put that on your finger in the right place, I'm going to put it on my right place, okay? And I hold it like that. Right now, this hand is tingling already. I'm an open subject because I do my crystals all the time, so I flow very easily, okay? And if I if I hold my hand up, I'm hoping you can see, and I'm impulsing now. You should see my hand get hotter. And then I wait a bit so that that impulse has shot the energy through, and I can feel not only my palm tingling, but my fingertips as well. Okay, now right in the middle of my hand is a white area. That's the hand chakra. That's where you mix all the energy from touching and feeling and holding things. Now, when the energy comes from your hand into this area, it then goes on up the meridians and around your whole body. And when you've done one side, then you go to the other. Now, I showed you, being quick here, I've showed you the point, I've showed you the impulse. Now you have to do the rotation. If you do anti-clockwise, it's like blocking the water for a bit, and then you go clockwise, and that spins the energy around that meridian, so forcing blocks to break away. That's the basics of crystal acupuncture, and you can heal your whole body by just sitting on the sofa and doing all 10 fingers. Now, the thing about sitting and doing your hands is you're not totally relaxed. So the better way to do it is to lay flat and have someone do your tippy toes in the same way. So when my patients come to me, I will use another modality, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And when I've got them ready, then I will work on their tippy toes. And then when I've done that, according to what else they've got wrong with them, then I will go to that part in that area and work on them with more stones or other modalities.
And I was just going to say too that just as a confirmation for the listeners that are listening out there right now, for those who who think that this is woo-woo, or putting a crystal on your tip, what is that supposed to do, blah 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 blah. I can guarantee you, as someone who has met Margaret, when we were at the 5D conference, Margaret also had a session with me privately. And so she did exactly what she is showing you listeners out there right now. And what did she say straight after? I mean, we did hypnotherapy and we did teragrams and whatnot over a course of a couple of days. And what did you say to me after that? You said to me that everything that you told me to tell somebody else, that everything that I previously maybe thought about in a different approach. And so I went on to that person. I told them exactly what you had said, Margaret, to that person after I'd had the therapy and what I needed to get healed. And lo and behold, things did change. And that person turned around and said, what happened? So just an idea is that, using the crystal acupuncture is just a precursor to a lot of other things that I was going through at the particular time. But I can tell you that things do change. If you are an open, receptive person to healing, then it does work. It really does.
Because you see, what we're doing, we can't say enough to get people to understand that you are a ball of energy. No matter what you see on your face, whatever, you are still energy. And people don't realize that energy, let's think about something terrible, an atom bomb. It's energy, but look at how destructive it can be. So in the same way, if you put a pill in your mouth, when it's digesting, it's energy. And when it goes into the body, wherever that energy ends up, it can create an explosion anatomically in your body, and you develop gas and you've got to pass it, or, you get pain or you get cancer, depending on what it is. Let me come into my time when I had Parkinson's disease.
Sure.
I didn't know, I didn't even realize I had it because I was just shaking from head to foot at the time, and went down to see my doctor friends and said, why am I doing this? And they looked at me, did the test and said, oh, you got PD. We didn't call it PD then, everything was said out loud. And I said, but I can't have that. You know, my dad's just got it and he's, 50, pushing 60. And my grandma had it and she died from it. And her father had it. And then it dawned on me, ancestry, DNA. So I went home, I was real miserable, and I got to tell you, I was highly miserable because my marriage was on the rocks and I had 4 wayward kids, so that too. Plus I had ministers, I had loads of congregations, churches I was doing, and I had patients and I had counseling sessions, and so you can imagine my workload was very heavy. And here I am breaking down, right? And so the bottom line was they gave me some pills and they said they're experimental pills, and I didn't know any different in those days. And took them home and didn't want to take them. Oh, and I do want to say another thing. Back in time, when I got pregnant with my first boy, doctor gave me a prescription. I came back and showed my ex, and he tore it up immediately. Guess what that was?
What was
Thalidomide.
Which is?
That would have given me a child with no arms or legs or something. Thalidomide. Did you not hear about it? There were quite a few children and mothers took it in the early time of the fetus when it's growing into a body. And that's exactly what that doctor did. I was hardly pregnant. If I'd have taken that, I would have had a very deformed baby. And thanks to his father at that time, he stopped me. Because what did I know? I was 21, nurse, gotta
And
give up.
that's the thing, is that we're not actually taught what goes into those medications. Like it's like lithium.
Well, why would they want to give a mother a pill just because she's pregnant?
Well,
I mean, women galore for thousands of years have been having babies without any pills. Anyway, I'm just saying that's how dangerous these pharmaceutical meds are. Okay, and that gives us 100% reason why we don't want to do it. So come fast forward to my time with PD, and I came home with that, and I was married to a different man by then. And I basically felt I had to take them because I was shaking and I was trying to deal with patients, and they would really calm me down and they were really good. But I got dreamy and sleepy a lot. But I bulldozed through it, can't sleep. I've got clients and patients and this and that. And then when they wore off, I was shaking worse than ever. And the result of those pills was I OD'd over a period of time because I kept thinking they were helping the shakes. What I didn't know was, I learned later, they were a derivative of heroin. So I was actually taking heroin. And as a result of that, they killed me and they had to bring me back. And as a result of coming back, that was when Master Chang, who'd been encouraging me to play with my stones all these years, finally came back and he said, now the real work begins. I'm like, what do you mean? I've just been doing this for 35 years, my whole life, how can you say my real life begins? And he said, no, this education with the stones begins. So he taught me crystal acupuncture, and up until then I'd been using shards, and soon after I'd learned with the shards to do that, people started cutting stones. And now today you can find a lot of stones cut like this, but you couldn't find those when I'm talking about in 1977. That was when I died and came back. So doing the crystal acupuncture was my research on me. Mm-hmm. And what I found was that as I did the different meridians, I was treating different areas because different meridians run up and down your body in different ways, back and front, that I was also coming into my brain where I was hitting the subconscious mind where we store all the pictures. And I would have all these pictures coming up of memories, and with it, the emotions. And I can tell you, I spent ages, years, 10 years, deprogramming me of my family, of my DNA history, the RNA that I picked up from school, teachers, doctors, lawyers, I mean, you name it. It took 10 years to deprogram me. So I want people to understand you're not going to do one crystal acupuncture treatment and hey, presto, I'm saved. You're a work in progress. You have been from the day you were born, right? Now, these 5 bodies, they have to be held together, right? How are we going to hold these energies so they don't all fall apart? Well, you could end up with a droopy, deformed aura, yes, which is supposed to be an egg shape. And I do see patients who are like that. And they're seriously ill by then.
Yeah.
But if you're just beginning an illness, then that's where the teragrams really come in, because coming back to what I was showing with these circles, right? When you put them on your third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, and base chakra, that is where you are mixing the 5 bodies. So it's like making a cake. You've got to get the ingredients just right so that you can get yourself moving energy out of your body. So that's where the types of crystals come in. And just to blow everybody's mind away, this is my traveling kit. Because I've got a stone for every kind of situation that could happen to a person. And you can see I've even got some bigger ones because I like to do that. Okay, put them on, and I have different ways of using them. And of course, when I was in Japan for 20 odd years, I was teaching a lot of my students how to do crystal acupuncture, pterogram therapy, and the Trinity stone as well. And they today have their own salons all over Japan. I want to teach Americans to have salons in this country so that people can come and have a treatment and walk away happy face. I had a lady here just yesterday. Yeah, I don't even know what day it is. And I can tell you that when she got off the table, her face was so different. All the lines are gone, and I've got lines because I'm old. But I mean, she's about 50 something, 55 or 6, and she looked 20 years younger. All that worry, all that anxiety had gone. The pain that she came from was eased. I was not able to realign her hip bone. I wanted to go and see a chiropractor for that. I am able to do the alignment, but with her, she was overweight for me. I can't, needs a stronger man to move the hips, because her hips were like that. And while I could pull it up, I couldn't tip it forward. Okay. So this is another thing. A lot of chiropractors will do this with their hips and put you on the side, but they don't realize that one side is higher than the other, and people are walking around with a slight limp. So the bones are very important. So anyone listening, if you've never had a chiropractic treatment and you're in pain, first step, go get an alignment. Second step, put some deep heat or something on your muscles, the ligaments, so that, and stay quiet. Don't go running around for a week. You need to let your body heal. Okay, if you'd had a surgery, you wouldn't run around, you'd stay home. Well, having a chiropractic treatment is no different. Stay home, do as little lifting as you can, try and be as peaceful as you can. Don't get in arguments with other people, because that's body language and you're throwing your arms away and you're going to put it out again, because the brain remembers, right? Cellular memory. So if you've had your hips realigned, it doesn't remember that. It remembers them out of alignment. So in order for the brain to have time to remember alignment, you have to be nice. You have to be kind to yourself. And you have to comment to yourself, I'm straight. I'm feeling happy I'm straight. Teach your brain, just the same as you did when you were a child.
And so I just want to interject here. For those who are looking for this book, it's Crystal Acupuncture and Pterogram Therapy. You can find this up on Amazon. Also, I just wanted to, we've got 40 minutes left, but and of course we can go over time, but I do want to get into another area that you have too, which I haven't learned yet. And of course, I will admit that that's probably why Margaret's doing a lot of talking tonight, because I'm still learning all of these courses as well. In fact, I have my own sets of the crystals and the pterograms as well. However, I just want to bring up the Trinity Stone therapy. Now, this is another book here. I do have the crystals here as well. I just want to flash this up as well for those who are interested. So when I show the Trinity Stones, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so, what is this all about? Now we know that memory is stored in our brain related to musical tones. What exactly are the pterograms used for? As you're talking, I'll show them what they are.
Well, first of all, pterograms are three-sided triangles, and I had to have a hole in the middle. It was also a triangle, so we've got two outlines of triangles. So that's a double whammy there. And so the vibration of a triangle is into the stone, okay? And then when you put that on the chakra, it resonates, reverberates the chakra, and that helps to move negativity away from your body. And the reason we want it to reverberate is through talking. So here's what I have people do for this. If they're in their home, just to put them one point up. There's different ways to treat if you've got something more serious, but we're just doing a quick intro here. You put them with a point up, like this, on your third eye, on your throat, point up, and so on, all the way down the chakras I mentioned before. Yeah, she's doing it. And then you could lay down on your bed, put a movie on, but don't watch it. Shut your eyes, lay flat, let the pterograms work with what you hear. And that will shift your consciousness into things that you don't know are going on in your brain. For example, if you were listening to a movie and you're hearing footsteps walking across the floor, say a tile floor, you might suddenly find yourself in a panic and want to open your eyes and have a look what's going on, because that's pressed a button in you that says somewhere in your time, you have a fear of footsteps and the unknown. There's 101 things going on in a movie. And, you know, a lot of people who do movies, they're called Foley people, and they don't necessarily use footsteps. You know, like I was just saying the other day, crunching rocks on a pathway is celery that they're squeezing or cabbage that they're squeezing. Yeah. So, you know, what you want to do, that's a little explanation there of what's happening in the book. So anything that reverberates through your body in sound is going to press a button into the subconscious and into the deep subconscious. And so you're going to get a message. If you stay without cheating and looking, you will get a message at the end. Somehow I have deleted something. You will know instinctively, without a shadow of a doubt, that you feel better, happier, brighter, stronger. Now, if you're in the vibration of oneness and you want to ascend in consciousness, there's two isosceles triangles that are there where you put it on the higher sacred center, which is where my cross is here. And then you put the other one on your lower sacred center, which is below the belly button and above the pubic bone. It's right slap in the middle. These points, this top end of the base chakra, and the point down here between your belly button and your pubic bone is the other end of your crown chakra. So these are cones, you see, that come all the way down, and the other one comes up and overlaps. And guess what's in the middle? What you feel in your heart and what you think and rationalize in your solar plexus. Oh, I'm going for a test. I'm going to fail. I don't feel confident. I haven't learned all my work. Okay, you're hurting yourself if you do that to yourself time and time again. But if you put those on your body, it will balance that negativity. It will take it up to your crown chakra and into your spirit higher mind and give it to God, as it were. And you will lose your fear. You'll lose your anxiety. There are many things I do with these. Are just two things that I've said, and the book explains it all. But I'm not doing this with my crystals to sell them to you. I can if you really need them. But what I'm looking at is teaching you, because there are many stores now that sell crystals. And all you have to do is go like I did when I was a child and do your finger. If you feel nothing, that's no good. You don't want that one. Try another one. Keep doing each finger. And some fingers you may feel something and some you may not. Okay. The triangles you can't get from anyone but me because I have them made, unless someone's ripped me off and they're producing them. I don't know. I can't control the sale of a triangle or anything like that. I am working with a company to get them into Amazon and Walmart, places like that. But with COVID, that's on the rest. So we have to wait and see what happens. But in the meantime, go shopping, go to crystal stores, hunt and find something that you can play for yourself. Now let's move over to something else, can I? Reflexology. Mm-hmm. Reflexology is acupressure, okay? You can do it to your hands. Let me do it so you can see. It's hard to show. Push, 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 push. You can do it with any finger you want, okay? See?
I was taught that women in labor should do the acupressure right there.
Yeah, that's the point that goes up the central meridian. We got to show. It's like a puzzle. Yeah, that point there, right in the crease where the bone comes out. Okay. Now, if you've got a migraine or a headache, that's also the point because they go straight up to the brain. So what it does is when you press that point, or if you do the two in the eyes here, like that, pressing on either side of the nose, it'll help the sinuses as well as your head.
And there's also another one, the indent at the back of the neck. If you feel it up there, you'll be able to find it. But there's right at the back, at the base of the neck. You just follow it up the back of the neck, and if you hold it maybe 30 seconds, it'll actually start to relax the muscles in your neck that will prevent a migraine.
Yeah, that's right. So if you're interested in treating yourself on the sofa, all these things can be done, or on the bed, wherever, or if you're a therapist already and you want to add to your abilities, then we will have classes on these things on sumariseducationcenter.com. But for now, we're just sharing. Now, another therapy that is so easy to do is talking to yourself in the mirror. Watch your face. Oh, I feel so miserable today. I don't know what I'm going to do. See what other people see on your face and then understand why they respond to you the way they do, which is unexpected from your point of view, because they're not reacting to the words that come out. They're reacting to your facial and body expression. And if you're one of these people that shrugs your shoulders up, get them down. I see a lot of people up like this.
Or ones that are leaning forward, hunched forward, there's no posture. Yeah, body language is a big indicator of the way we are truly feeling, not the way that we are actually speaking it.
Now, here's another one that goes along with Reiki. We all know Reiki is like you saw my hands and you put your hands opposite one another and you could feel this. So if you're watching right now, as you bring them together, there's an energy, there's a resistance. And the more you do that, it's like pumping air between your hands, but actually you're moving energy. The aura of your hands, okay, it's meeting before your hands actually meet. So when you go like this, you're pumping up your aura. And so if you're miserable and depressed, just sit doing this for a little while and you'll find you'll start to feel happier with yourself. Now, another thing you can do is rub your hands together like this real fast. See how hard I'm doing it? I'm really doing it. I'm pressing against it, okay? And then you slap it on yourself, okay? And I'm feeling great warmth in my lungs all the way through my muscles, my nerves. I can feel it going down into my boobs. And now I can feel it going down into my solar plexus, particularly on my right side. So I guess I needed this. Okay, so that's another simple way to heal yourself. Now, if you know Reiki and you want to rub your hands around like I did before, and then hold them around your aura in different areas. Move your hands down. Obviously, I'm sitting down, so you can't see anymore. But just let your hands go down. And if you can do back of your head, whatever you can do, you will move your aura.
Margaret and I have actually done this before. We have done an experiment to see whether energy, just by sitting here, you and I can see each other right now, just by showing whether we can actually transmute that energy through the internet and through a virtual conversation. And it is actually real. You can actually do it. And Margaret and I have actually done this. So the power, the energy that we can use just from the healing of the hands is tremendous.
And we're contact, I did another show on my I still call it Journey into an Unknown World, but we've got it where SoundCloud. Thank you.
So, the show is on soundcloud.com/Dr. Margaret Speaks, and you'll see her show, Journey into the Unknown World.
Thank you. So I did this whole thing about, talking and facial expression and hands. So if you want to know more about that, you can go there. But when you're doing the aura, you'll come back there where I was, and you rub your hands together, and now you're doing this, you are puffing up your aura. And if you get agate slice, this is, I should explain this, teragram is my name backwards. And in the word teragram is terra of earth, agate, great, there's a lot of words in there. It's a nice anagram for promoting it. So I had to have a name. Before it was called Color Plate Agate Healing Therapy. And it was too much. But now it's Teragram Therapy. And I get these colored for me. They don't come this colored. And I have to buy hundreds and hundreds of them when I do. But you could go into a store and you'll find somebody selling them there. They'll probably sell them at $10 a piece if they're this size. Smaller ones a bit less. I have to buy thousands of dollars worth, so it costs me a lot. And right now I'm not buying because I'm not traveling and teaching in workshops and classes. But I do have a few if anybody's desperate and they can't find them in a store somewhere.
Yeah, and eventually we will be going to a physical school once we can find that millionaire to build the school.
Yeah, so you listening, millionaires and billionaires, we need you. Okay, now we need teachers as well, okay, because I've got a lot that I teach, but I don't want to be I don't want it to be Margaret Rogers Vancouver's teaching all the time. I want to have
and exactly. We
yeah.
both have different, very, very different modalities. Like I've said on previous shows, Margaret is very, very intuitive, whereas I am intuitive and very highly academic. And so the collaboration between the two of us in terms of teaching come from very, very unique perspectives. And in terms of modalities, Margaret tends to focus on psi development, or psychic development, for those who don't know what psi is, and counseling and therapy and alternative therapies, whereas I come in with psychiatry and counseling and therapy and coaching and
well, I do all that too.
But what I'm saying is that we're very focused. We're focused on the modalities that we do. Like for instance, I can't say that I can teach crystal acupuncture because that's not my modality. My modality is more leaning or inclined to go towards psychiatry. And so I do a lot of mindfulness, and I do a lot of health and well-being, mental health. And so, yeah, that's why I'm saying it's two different perspectives. But at the end of the day, there are many, many different classes that you can take under the Samaras Education Center, and that includes the.
Sorry, I'm coughing.
That's okay. That includes the Soma Fusion Academy as well. You know, we're not restricted in any way, and of course, we want to hear from you about what we can actually. What we can actually teach to further enhance what we already have. And so we're always open to suggestions. And for those who don't know what the call-in number is, 929-436-2866 with the meeting ID number 522-657-2748. It is listed up in the description. If you do want to call in, ask us a live question, we will answer those questions. And of course, you know, it's not all just about crystal Reiki, crystal acupuncture or Reiki or psychic development. There are lots of other alternative modalities that are in integrated, what I would say, medicine.
Sorry.
We are embracing the holistic aspect of alternative medicine, and that's such as hypnosis. And both of us are trained in hypnosis, and hypnosis can do wonders for people. But before we segue into that, I just want to mention too, going back to what I said earlier about mindfulness being in schools. In fact, they are actually already teaching it in schools, but in different ways. The only problem is, and this is the reason why they are incorporating it into classrooms and whatnot. And this goes into they're doing extensive research into it, but they are also trying to get it banned. And the reason why they're trying to get it banned is because they perceive it to be, you know, and it's only certain parts. They perceive it to be part of a religious teaching in some way. It might be through Hinduism or like especially yoga, but they are trying to put it in incorporate it into the schools, and not just in schools, but teach the teachers how to be mindful as well. And so by being mindful, teachers are teaching the mindfulness, or the teachers are teaching teachers how to be mindful, and the teachers are passing it on to the children, and the children are also passing it on to their parents and bring it into the family home as well. But basically, mindfulness is incorporated because obviously educators need more support, and you know, the education system here in the United States is overwhelmed and it's under-resourced. And so a lot of teachers out there are prone to burnout. And so words like self-care and sustainability and well-being may seem at odds with the modern performance-oriented educational system. And of course, those who think differently like us I'm a mindful practitioner. I'm a certified mindful practitioner. Basically, I would go into a classroom and to help you or train you to remind you how to feel more calm and effective and become more creative and confident. And so we don't tend to burn out, and we don't, if for students alike, we don't miss out on those lessons. We're not so stressed about those exams that we got coming up or whatever they may be, because a child has a lot of pressure. And so we absorb through mindfulness, that children absorb and learn through more observation and mirroring and modeling, and having a successful practice that's incorporated into schools is so much better. It's not what we teach, it's how we teach it. And so if you take a mindfulness approach into a school system, you end up with better, a lot calmer, a lot balanced students and teachers alike. And people are not so angry or anxiety or freaked out at performance levels. I've got to pass this test. And so, yeah, there are many schools that have been practicing since I did a little bit of research while you were talking, Margaret, that there are schools, especially in the South and up in the North, that have been teaching mindfulness in low doses, not trying to incorporate religion in any way, to educate their students for the last 20 years. So this is
when you say mindfulness, give us a sentence from your point of view of what is mindfulness, because I'm thinking.
They're going into the routes of yoga and meditation.
Yeah, but define mindful, because a lot of people won't know what you mean by
that. In terms of education, or in terms of
just general, I don't use that term.
Having awareness in order to take on the responsibilities that you have within yourself to further balance yourself, so that you become more mindful about the things that you do.
Yeah, so you explained it. That's good, because I knew what you're saying, but I wanted you to say it for people who are listening, because they don't all know. They don't even know the word mindful.
It's bringing forth the skills and the skills and tools, so that one, you can recognize, okay, I haven't. Let's just say, for instance, you have an exam coming up. One, I got an exam. I know what I need to do, but now I feel the pressure. So how do we overcome that pressure and that anxiety, that performance anxiety, to actually go ahead and, whether it be just pass or pass beyond passing, how do we take that approach, so that we can calm ourselves down and say, just take a breath. We can.
I just want to say here that I know by my teachings over the years, and also with myself and my kids, that when they're having fun, when the teacher makes the class fun, the children don't get bored, they don't play up, they're interested, and they become a part of the whole scenario of the class. I saw it, in many different ways. For example, in England, they split us up at certain ages because A, you're A student, B, you're a B student, C, you're somewhere else, and D, God forbid, and your nose was rubbed in that. So you start with all the C's all the time, or you start with all the D's. Now they're beginning to realize that the A student, by being present in a class with a C student, brings interesting feedback that the lower ones learn from. And that's our nature. We copycat. So I'm all for harmonizing the art classes, we had religious classes, not for Catholicism, but it was a broadcast that we all had to listen to that covered every religion. I was so grateful I had that, because I had spring guns in my head talking as well. But I was in a good school, but the average schools, they don't get interest. I mean, like if you're Jewish, nobody tells you go study Buddhism. If you're, a Muslim, nobody tells you go study Catholicism. It's all left down to the child who wants to investigate. Now, I investigated when I was 12. I went to every place I could find and took every class and asked questions and got them confused because they couldn't answer. These kids today, these young ones are growing, the 2 and 4 and 10-year-olds, they're going to change this world because they're not listening to the old ways. They don't want to know the old ways, but they're still going to have stress and tension. So teaching them ways to speak is important. For example, my son called me just today and he asked me a question. I was trying to give him the story, and every sentence I said, he interrupted with his question. And I was trying to say, and I'm not critiquing him, I'm just saying this is reality. That's a lot of that goes on in my family where everybody talks over everybody else. But think about that. How can you put bits and pieces together and make sense of it while someone is still talking over the top of that, asking you, for example, do you want a cup of tea or did you want some cake? And you're trying to have a serious conversation about your pain in your back. Oh, no, thank you. Yes, no, what, where was I? We lose our thoughts, we lose our train of focus. And I've spent a lot of my years saying to my family and to other people, don't ask questions, listen, learn. When you've listened and you've learned, you either don't know or you do know, you've got something to reply, right? But if you interrupt, and a lot of people do this, Americans do it, everybody does it, I know, but you're asking superfluous questions. If you waited to see, you would have the answer. See what I'm saying? Now, when you go in front of a teacher, you're not allowed to ask a question.
No, because they turn around and they say, hold a bubble.
Hold a bubble.
Or is it, I think it's hold a bubble or whatever the hell they say.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, they tell them to keep their mouth shut. It's hold a bubble.
Oh, I see. We didn't have that one.
In my mind, though, that technique is it's almost like, okay, well, I can't scold you for talking, so I'm just going to tell you to hold a bubble. And now you've got a child that's sitting there going,
yeah, well, that too is a very physical thing, and many children are physical and they will copy, but the intellectual will immediately start talking to someone, okay, exactly. Because they want to communicate. But you see, if, for example, when we're talking, we have to wait and be patient till the thought is finished. Then the teacher should be saying, well, even before, they should set them up before. Write one word down to remind you of your question, listen to the whole concept, and then I, as a teacher, will say, questions? Mm-hmm. And that's the time the children should be introduced to how valuable. It's the way the teacher replies, that was a wonderful question, thank you. I will explain that now.
Yeah.
It goes a long way rather than, oh, why did you ask that question? That's silly, sit down.
And I know for a fact, because I use these techniques too. My son, for listeners out there that don't know, my son has an IEP. It is for speech delay. And so he works one-on-one with the teacher, but, because of the speech delay, he can't always express the words that he wants to express. So therefore, sometimes it comes out mumble jumble and you have to kind of take a step back and decipher it, but that's okay. And so at times there are times where he sees your frustration and he's frustrated with himself because he can't express it out. So therefore he has to find a medium way to communicate. Now, there have been times when he's been really, really, really frustrated. And when he does do that, I mean, sometimes he will act out, but that's being a child because he's frustrated with himself. He can't articulate what he needs to articulate at that particular moment. And so I've formulated a technique with him, which is basically for him to he comes up to me and I'll sit down and he'll stand in front of me, and I will put my hands on the side of his head, just like this, covering his ears, just covering his face. Well, not all, the sides of his head anyway. And I will go head to head with him, like I will, connect with him, and I will talk to him really, really softly, intelligible, but softly, and remind him to breathe. Just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in.
And that's very important, everybody. Listen, breath is the breath of life. Breathe from the diaphragm, not here.
So the connection, the just holding my, the hands holding his head is holding him still, so that he's not fidgeting, he's not, and connecting with my head or my forehead is just a way of saying, I am there for you. And doing the technique together by breathing in as deep as you can go, and then breathing out, just letting it all out. Breathing it in, breathing it in, and then letting it all out. And by him doing that, after a couple of repetitions of doing that, he I let him on his free will. He'll look up at me and say, Mummy, I'm okay now. He'll go about his business. It's the same with him. If he wakes up in the middle of the night, I do the same thing. The same technique. And that's not even about anxiety. That's just about, I can't sleep. And so reminding him that after he's woken, breathe in, breathe out. It's like counting the sheep, but in a different way. Breathe in.
And this is very valuable information that you're sharing from others out there with young kids. And it's not only kids that have jobs, it's just general frustration. Children of any young age are frustrated because, you want the world and you don't know what the world is.
No, that's exactly right. And by taking that moment, especially as a mother, by connecting my forehead with his forehead, coming down to eye level. That's why I'm sitting and he's standing. It's because now I can get to him at eye level. And I can, it's all about, I've done previous shows on my own show about conscious parenting, about how we can, instead of taking one step forward and being argumentative with our children, take one step back and just, because when children get frustrated or upset or angry at whatever reason, we tend to start get angry ourselves. And when we don't take that step back and say, hey, maybe my child is really upset for some reason, but they can't, and I'm not talking about my son, but I'm just talking about children in general. We take that step back and we understand what they're going through, like ask them questions. Why do you feel, it might sound like a therapist approach to it, but really, parents out there should really actually try it and see if it works. Take a different approach. Instead of getting angry at our children for being frustrated and angry and upset. And they may be doing something that's ghastly, completely off the rails wrong. But at least if we take a step back before we get angry, we can at least approach them and say, hey, why did you do this? Like, what was going through your head? You don't have to say it in those words, but just, tell me about what you did and why you did it, rather than just say, hey, you're in trouble, you're grounded.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, is getting the two-way conversations. But I can tell you, back in the days when my kids were young, I would sit them down and I'd say, okay, you did ABC. That was against the law or whatever, because, poor boys always played up. So I'd kind of lecture them, because my dad did the same with me. And but what I realized was the more I pushed and lectured, the more they actually closed down for my kids. And so that, I learned a lot by bringing up kids and what not to do, if you like. So when I started to teach the classes for other people to work with children, I started to realize that we had to turn it around, not from the teacher's point of view, but from the child's point of view. How is the child seeing the teacher? Well, the child wants to see a safe person. So, starting something like you did with the forehead, that's very important, because that's touch. And touch, without hands is also something we have to be aware of because of so much fear now about touch. Oh, he touched me on my shoulder, he was trying to rape me. It's got really bad. But on the other side, if you hit a child, you could be arrested, for a spanking. And so we've gone around in circles here. I was hit a lot as a child, and I admit I hit my kids because they were naughty too, and that was what I knew. Today, punishment is we had that too, stand in the corner and don't look round, and if you do, you'll be there longer, because we didn't have place was small, so we didn't have much privacy for being sent to your room, shared it. So, things have changed, but today I found that if I'm working with young children and I give them a rock and I say, tell me a story about the rock, they'll pick out their issue. I let them talk it out as though they're talking about someone else. And then I say, oh, really? So when that happened to you, what did you do? And they will give me the answer because they're aware. And it's definitely not what the teacher would say.
Yeah, so, and this is all about mindfulness too, coming down to their level.
Yeah, and it's very important to understand that. So, children have a bouncing full of ideas, not just because they're working the brain out, but because they're watching TV, they're watching movies. I didn't have all that when I grew up. I had to watch people in the street or whatever, So this is a different world. And these babies, 2 years old, they're playing all those games where, press your finger and it jumps over a mound or something. And they're whiz kids at it. And I get on it and I'm like, what do you do? So the brains are evolving differently. And I'm hoping that sometime in the next 2,000, whatever it was, where it said 400 something, it's not quite 3,000 years now. It's a bit different because we're getting further away from the sun, whatever it is, or drawn in. I can't remember. I'm not a scientist here. The bottom line here is that our energies will change according to that. That is outside influences. That's why I'm bringing it up, because we're taught go in the sun. No, don't go in the sun. Run in the rain, sing in the rain. No, don't. You'll get soaking wet. How can you enjoy yourself when these contradictory rules? So I think it's very important these teachers working with these children color the rules in a way that they get it and understand, rather than don't talk to your neighbor, write 500 lines. If I was in that class, I would go up to them and say, okay, you're having a conversation. I'd like to join in. What are we talking about? Mm-hmm. That's what happens. They shut up. Okay. Oh, it's a secret, is it? Oh, okay. Well, maybe later you'll tell me the secret. And then you go back to the class and teach them. They're all paying attention because they don't want to be told that their story or what they're talking about has to come out in front of all the other kids. There are little twitty things that we can do as adults because we know life, and we have to be flexible. There isn't one rule, because there isn't one child that thinks exactly the same as another. Exactly. They have all different points of view. Yeah. So I'd like to come back to the therapies, because I had one more I wanted to talk about, which was Reiki. When we were talking about the hands and doing that to yourself. But if you have a child that is constantly in frustration and anger, you must understand their brain is overwhelmed. So hands on head, okay, while they're sleeping. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's just simple Reiki, hands on head while they're sleeping. And if you want, one hand on the breast, where the heart is. And while they're sleeping, their brain will be processing the energy that you put into that child or into that senior, and they will wake up in the morning feeling lighter and brighter.
Which brings me to the next thing. Can do for kids.
Oh, yes. I've had that around a long while. Thank you for that. I originally made it for a mother who birthed twins. One was highly brilliant and nervous as hell because he was so brilliant, and the other was autistic. And so I made You and Can Do for boys and You and Can Do for girls after I'd done it for them. I used their particular toys at the time, and they were about 6. Unfortunately, fast forward to the days now, they're men, obviously they've grown up. Mother passed, but the one that's autistic, he still listens to You and Can Do every night. And according to the feedback I've had from his brother and the aunt, is that he's the most well-behaved of all the children in the home. So what it's done over time is I'm talking like a fairy. Hello, my name is Gandu, up there. And I'm taking him on a journey back into peace and tranquility, and then leave them with that so that they can learn. And the other brother, he's out and about and brilliant and doing all sorts of things. In fact, I've lost contact with him now because he went abroad and did some other things. I don't know where he is anymore.
So for people that are not following what Margaret is saying right now, Can Do for Kids is basically a guided meditation for children.
And Can Do is the fairy. And the key word is you can do this. Can Do says you can do this. So the repetition of can do is all the way through it. I've given it to a lot of seniors as well. And they've come back where they've had complaints and they're saying, I can't drive at night, I can't see. And one lady brought it back and gave me it and said, I don't know why you gave me this, it's for children, but it was fun. I said, well, where are you going now? Oh, I'm going to the senior center, but it's going to be dark soon. Oh, it's okay. I've had my eyes fixed. I can drive now. Whereas she was telling me a year before, she was never going to have her eyes fixed, and she definitely was never going to drive at night. She had a whole list of whys. And that listening to that one time is all she listened to it. Got her to get her eyes fixed and bring it back to me several months later, because she'd gone through all that while she was, I don't know. She said she only listened to it once, so I have to believe her. So one time works. Other people have told me they've listened to it every night for ages, and that every day they feel better and different. So it's easy. We give it away. It's a giveaway. It's a download now. Years ago it was a CD. So if anybody wants it, then they need to go to the websites that you'll be giving in a minute and put in a request that they could get a copy of it sent to them in their email. Okay. So thank you for mentioning that. But yes, that brings us back to hypnosis, self-hypnosis. If you're a person who can't meditate, this is the last way I want to help you today. Sit on your hands like this, look at the wall, find a spot and stare at it. And the minute you think something like, I want to itch my nose, or, oh, I forgot the washing, you say out loud, I drifted, with meaning. Don't say I drifted. Say, I drifted. Okay. And then you go back to staring at the wall again. Now, if you bring your hands up and you scratch your nose, I drifted. Because the brain will distract you with touch, itches, stings, whatever, and you want to fix it. That's a distraction. It pulls you away from meditation because the conscious mind is afraid to meditate. You haven't been taught consciously to meditate. You have to go into your subconscious and deep subconscious, and that part, your conscious mind thinks, I don't know that part. Of course it does, but it doesn't know it in terms of being awake. So you put your hands on there and you just keep saying, I drifted. Well, you do it every day, and after a while, your brain, conscious mind, gets fed up hearing I drifted, I drifted, I drifted. 21 times you've said I drifted, it will start to say, I'm not drifting. And then over time, you'll be able to sit there a lot longer and not think anything, not see anything. Now, one more step. Close your eyes and do exactly the same thing. And immediately you will fidget, you will fuss, you will speak, you will think, because your brain says different scenario, but eyes shut. So do the same. Teach the brain, eyes shut or eyes closed, you're not going to drift into thought. Yeah, I like that one. I do that even now myself.
And so what are the benefits of hypnosis? No, I already know them, but why do we need to benefit?
Well, first of all, we have to say the benefit of it is the fact that you go in and out of hypnosis at least 20 times a day.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we all do, because you sit there and you think, okay, I want to go and get a glass of water. And you stand up and you notice something else. And you go off standing in that sidebar of whatever you're thinking. And then you sit down and you think, I'm thirsty. And then you remember you didn't get your order. You've diverted yourself away from what you wanted to do. Same with driving a car. So you're used to being in and out of hypnosis because that's how the conscious mind has a rest. Okay. If you're not going off at a tangent, then your brain is overworked, you're mentally tired, you're mentally exhausted, you're grumpy, you're miserable. In fact, you're somebody nobody wants to be with. So hypnosis is good to listen. If you can't do it yourself, listen to a recording that someone's done. We have a lot of different ones. We have, that was yesterday by my husband, which is really good for people who, oh, when I was a kid and we used to buy a house for 3,000 and you know, that was then, that was the Piscean age. Stop doing it. But if you can't stop doing it, then ask for a copy of my husband's, that was yesterday, and we'll send it to you for free. Okay. All we ask is that you maybe do a little video saying how it helped you so that we know it helped other people. It's fair enough, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, I hope. Anyway, we have about 6 or 7 meditations that we're giving away free. So
yes, and of course I've had a meditation up there myself that I've done that helps with sleep and anxiety issues. You can find that up on Soma Fusion Mind, Body and Soul on the YouTube channel. You just look for the playlist that says Soma Fusion Academy and the Samaras Education Center, and you're going to see all of those videos. Go in there, you're going to find some meditation music, you're going to find the guided meditation that has been widely popular for people that have been new to guided meditation. And so the other thing I do want to do, I do want to mention too, for those people who have trouble counting sheep when they're trying to go to sleep, there is another way of doing it, and that is just completely just breathing and closing your eyes and rolling your eyes in the back of your head.
But some people can't do that. Yeah. Did you know that? Yeah.
Some people can't do it, but it is a wonderful suggestion for those who can't count sheep, who just have too much mind distraction going on in their brain at that particular time when they're trying to fall asleep. So one good way of doing it is closing your eyes, breathing in and out like you would if you were trying to meditate, and rolling the eyes, looking up. Essentially what you're doing is you're doing this. And it looks like funny.
Yeah, but you can do it. See, I can't get mine to go up very high. But what I would do is I would do this, looking left and right under my eyes. Yeah. So, what happens is, so just so you know, the eyes are a trigger to the brain.
Yeah.
Because people don't know that. They don't realize that their eyes, you see everything and you react. You've got to be safe, So moving the eyes triggers the brain. And if you're moving rapid eye movement, then your brain gets tired because you're not seeing anything. You've got your eyes shut. You don't know what to do. So you give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's
another thing is go work out and then come home and go to bed. You'll sleep.
Well, that's
simple. Yeah. So there's lots of physical things to do. You just need to go online and find them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things to do, but I mean, sometimes physical exercise might raise the dopamine levels a little too high, and then you can't get to sleep.
Well, what physical exercise would that be?
I've done physical exercise before, and I've gotten too excited about physical exercise, and I definitely haven't passed out.
Oh,
More
well, the more tennis and things I used to play when I was younger, the more I would be going to bed earlier. And I noticed that even as a teenager, and I couldn't sleep. I'm an insomniac. I'm the first to admit it. I still am today. So I take sleeping pills. Otherwise, I don't go to sleep. Okay, so why? Because what happens for me when I lay down, shut my eyes, I'm immediately having conversations with my spirit guides.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens all the time, and it's like I could be talking for an hour, and then they switch off, and I fall asleep. But by then my pills worked. But that's me, and I probably could just be patient and wait an hour and wait till they finish talking, and then fall asleep, turn over and go to sleep. But I've got a history of I need to take a sleeping pill, and I haven't wanted to delete that one yet.
Mm-hmm.
We have choice. I could delete it if I wanted. That's the key. Did you hear me? Wanted.
Free will. So with that said, again, we are going to give away the Can Do for Kids for boys and for girls. If you email us for Samaris UCC or Samaris SUMARIS UCC@gmail.com, let us know that you've listened to the show. Let us know what you thought of tonight's show, and we will return that with the giveaway that we have for Can Do for Kids, and to provide.
Can I interrupt you? You just PayPal thing. Sumaris Education Center. UniversalChristchurch.com or easyfusion.com is where they can sign up and say they want it, because it's not on PayPal that I know of.
PayPal, email.
You just said UCC.
Oh no, no, it's email. If you email you at Samaris, Samaris as in Samaris UCC, all one word, at gmail.com.
I didn't know we had that even.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, sorry. Okay, everybody, she's dead. No.
Gotta leave the management to me.
I'm sorry. I thought you were giving the PayPal thing.
No,
yeah.
No. So Samaris UCC@gmail.com is where you would email us to let us know that you've listened to the show. Let us know what the show, how you thought of the show tonight. Let us know if you want to know anything else. We can talk about anything and everything, but your suggestions will help us formulate this show a little bit further, because we want to hear what you want to learn. Of course, if you do want to send us a donation, our PayPal email address is samarisucc@gmail.com as well. Also, if you want to go over to the websites, again, go over to soundcloud.com/Dr. Margaret Speaks, and that's where you're going to find Margaret's radio show. You're going to find my radio show and all the shows on Soma Fusion Media up on the YouTube channel, Soma Fusion Mind, Body, and Soul. We have 3 YouTube channels, so it just really depends on what show is being aired as to what channel it's going on and live. But in the description, if you are watching the video, you will see those all of those links there. Our websites are Samaris Center at samariscenter.com, which is where all of Margaret's PR stuff is. All of her articles have been collaborated there. Some of her books have been collaborated up there. If you are looking for the talks and the introduction to what we do, we will be hosting a whole heap of talks coming next month. We'll be launching all of that. It's easypeasysolutions.org. If you are looking for certified training for complete certificates in everything that we've been talking about tonight, you can go to the samariseducationcenter.com, which is where all of our classes are. You can go to the Universal Christchurch if you're interested.com if you are interested in ministerial classes and learning all about psychic development there as well. Or you can go over to askdrmargaret.com, and there's lots of other interesting stuff that you can learn about other personal courses and one-on-one sessions that Margaret has there as well. Again, you can go and find all of Margaret's books at somafusionmedia.com. You can go over to my website, my other website, it's soma-fusion.com. It's all, and of course, you can find Margaret and I up on social media, all platforms. What is that? Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and of course we are supported by iEvolveTV, and we're also supported by we're also a brand partner with Savvy Lifestyle Company, and they are based out in Utah, and they do fitwear for women of all ages, all sizes, to empower women, for women. Hey, there's no such thing as body shaming or negativity in any way. It's just women empowering women.
And that's very important. You know, the Aquarian age is about the female arising into the awareness that they are equal to males. So we're one and the same. We're just in different body shapes, okay? And people need to remember that it's not a man's world and it's not a woman's world, it's our world.
Yeah, and we are very much all interconnected. There should be no reason for hate. There should be no reason for casting judgments. There should be no reason for greed. There is more than enough for everyone. And so we need to realize that we are all interconnected. We all have the same we bleed the same blood. We may not think the same way, but it's all a matter of perception. And with that perception, we can come together, collaborate, share our ideas, and that's the only way we are able to grow.
And the last thing I think we must remember is animals. Animals are the same as us. People years ago, 300 years ago, were saying animals had no spirit. As we know, of course, animals all have a spirit, and they are encoding the same way as us. So what I showed you with the crystals and the pterodactyls and the triangles and any other stones you want to find from your backyard will work. If your dog's ill, your cat's ill, or your turtle or your tortoise or anything else you've got, even your fish, put a bit of energy in the water and they'll revive, okay? And put an energy on, something on your animal and it will come back. They love you, so they're going to trust you. So give them your love too. Very important. Animals are part of our world.
And for those people who want to know more about tonight's show, in terms of what we were talking about crystal acupuncture and pterogram therapies, please go get Margaret's books.
Yeah, there's a lot in there I haven't talked about that you might learn. Yeah.
But at the same time, I encourage people to go buy these books because they are going to teach you that. And then if you are interested in these subjects for real.
Can I just show this one? Because this is the one they really want.
Yeah, that's the third.
This is back to front or something I'm looking at.
I know it's coming up right on the video, so it's fine.
Yeah. So this is all the diagrams, and I'm just going to show you. I can open it up anywhere. Oh, not there. There's loads of diagrams like that. Boxes tell you what stones, what points, where to go. Okay. Took me 2 years to get this out of my brain and do it on a computer. Okay. So if you are seriously wanting to learn, the 2 books will teach you. Okay. Just give me a look. All right. Oh, you found it. Okay.
Oh, no, they're the other 2 books.
I'm not used to plugging my books.
Yeah, so I have all of them here. Like, here's another one. You know, because I need people to see that these books do exist. And so I encourage each and every single one of them. This is one of Margaret's latest books.
Yeah.
Which also goes up with this book.
The Dark Side, yeah.
I can even get my camera right.
Yeah.
And so all of these books can be currently found up on Soma Fusion Media. I'm still currently trying to put all of the books up because we did transition through different publishers. And so I am starting to get the books back up. Now, of course, Donald Trump, this book right here, it will be in its second edition. So if you have got the previous book, please go get very, very soon the new version. And it's been revised.
Well, it's not that much revised. It was just that I had someone editing it who didn't get it. So the view of it wasn't right. So I added bits and pieces, and so yeah, it's re-edited, but it's not. Yeah.
And also, if you're interested in Margaret's non-fiction, that was non-fiction, fiction books, I also have this one. And you'll love this book too.
Yeah, that's a whodunit. Keeps you guessing right to the end. Yeah. I've got 3 other novels I'm working on that I've been working on for 40 years. I just haven't had time to finish them. But I do like writing, and I have to tell everyone I can't take the credit. They're all channeled. Everything I do is channeled. So if you need help, both Katie and I are channelists. And so if you just think that way, we'll sit with you and give you all the advice and whatever you need from your spirit guides. That's something else we can offer as well.
Yes, that's true. But in order for us to know that you want this, you need to email us on the samarisucc@gmail.com. Let us know that you've listened to the show. Let us know, and we will provide you with the hypnosis we can do for kids. And also, not only that, we can also let you know what the times and dates that is coming up. If you want to, you can go over to easypeasysolutions.org, and the first screen that you're going to see as it pops up is a sign up. Put your email address in, give us your email address so that we can respond to you when the time comes and we come for our launch, which will be in the next 3 weeks. So we can encourage you to come to our free talks that we're going to be hosting.
You should do that. You'll have some fun.
Yeah, I agree. But until then, we wish you all a happy long weekend. We will be back like I said, we're here every Saturday night at 7 p.m. On Soma Fusion Media. So until then, have a great weekend.
Yeah, and have lots of hamburgers and whatever else comes. I don't know. They tell me here they're all barbecuing something. So.
So
yeah, anyway. It's a long holiday weekend, so enjoy yourself.
Exactly. And happy Memorial Day to all of those vets that are out there as well.
That's important.
But
take care.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Bye.